Thank you for staying with us. We're still here, your favorite breakfast show, Wake Up Nigeria. And now it's time for a conversation bothering around relationships. Now, the topic for today is the relationship between lack of validation and peer pressure in our focus on mental health today. And joining us, of course, she's been here through several weeks, Ese Ayabene. Welcome once more. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. You?
I'm like, fine. No, not bad at all. Okay, so now we were talking earlier about, you're giving me a brief of what we're talking about today. Now, the relationship between peer pressure and validation, right? And now streaming it down to how it affects mental health, right? So now why, first of all, I always like to ask, and why do you feel the need to have this conversation for this particular topic?
Naturally, we all seek validation. It's not something negative. So it's not that validation is bad. It's one of our instincts to survive, to seek other people. If our forefathers or the early men didn't have that, we won't have cities, we won't have communities. So that need for validation, to have people just work together, approve of what you do, accept you, was why we started coming into clusters, right? So seeking validation necessarily is not bad. But when you now have the need for it, so desiring validation, there's nothing bad about it, but having that need to always have it means that you lack self-validation. That's where there's a problem.
Okay, now, and I think talking about the whole idea of, our forefathers and all of that, in their times it was understandable because, even if they were seeking for validation, it was probably for the right reasons, right? Considering the fact that probably validation from their family, from neighbors, and do you understand, people. But now that we have social media and the internet, you're seeking validation from people that literally have no even business in your life. Okay, so now you were telling me about an instance of someone posting a picture now and trying to adjust it or expecting certain things back and all of that. So what would you say that has to do with this particular topic?
Okay, so there's been a surge in people having depression when social media got introduced. And the irony of it, there's a research that shows that social media is like an ongoing experiment because we don't even know the extent of the damage.
Very true.
But right now we see that the more we go on social media, so the first thing you do in the morning and the last thing you do at night sets your mood. So whatever you do at night and the first thing you do in the morning sets your mood. And think about it, what do we do at night? Like, what's the last thing we do at night? We check social media and then we fall asleep and you wonder why you have nightmares. When negative news thrives more on social media. So you see a lot of negatives and then you have nightmares and you say, which is pursuing me, whatever. And then you go on that. And then the first thing you do in the morning. So it's always advisable to detox. Sometimes I go, like last week I went offline for 2 days.
Okay.
I didn't touch my phone.
Okay.
It's healthy. When you cannot, somebody said, I can't separate myself from my phone, my device. There's a problem.
Yeah.
It shows that you are becoming addicted to your device. And there's just, it has gone beyond, okay, if you say you cannot go offline or you don't want to, you need your clients, then get a phone that you won't necessarily have to go on social media because that's where we have the issue because of the negative news and everything is out there. So coming to validation, so you post a picture, you post a comment, you put down something and then nobody comments and then you're like, am I not making sense? But the irony of what I've seen mostly, the days I've spoken passionately about mental health and I feel they're going to like it. No comment. There was a day I was just standing, I just wore a dress, I turned around, did a reel and I got like almost 600 views and I was like, what's happening? So I now realized I had to actually separate. I could not really get the validation I needed from it. So I needed to now tell myself, I'm making sense. Even if I'm not getting I have clients I started seeing outside of social media. So you need to actually look outside of that because that space, different things trend for different reasons.
Very true.
Right? And then we are always looking for things that will excite us. So people are not just looking for information, they're looking for things to excite them. So if you're going there to put something important and you think, oh, this will, people with the minority. And then if you're trying to get validation and you get it by making people laugh, you have this need to
always do that. And yes.
You see a lot of, there are a lot of social media influencers abroad that are depressed, suicidal. And I fear it's going to start happening here because most of our influencers have this need to meet up with the trend.
Okay, so now we're still here with Ese Ayabene, and she's talking about the need, right? The validation, the need for validation based on social media and based on, I mean, how it affects our mental health and things like that. Okay, so now you're talking about how, I mean, social media literally sends a lot of people into depression and all of that and need to detox, in case you're just joining us, right? So basically, I think I would totally agree with what you're saying, because, I mean, yeah, especially in this industry, right? Entertainment is based on what we literally, a lot of people think, okay, it's based on what we see and how much we put out there and all of that. So we try to keep on like topping the charts and looking for new highs, like the way like I like to call it and all that. And of course, we also even talk about the whole idea of how certain people trend for a reason and then don't trend, do you understand? And then they also probably are in the dark spots at that point. So what would you, of course, you've mentioned the need to detox and all of that. What would you say are other ways we can go about finding self-validation now? Now, the very important one, self-validation.
So we tend to talk about, I know we've heard about love languages, words of affirmation, service, gifts, and everything. How many times have we actually practiced it on ourselves? You understand? Give yourself words of affirmation. Tell yourself, take care of yourself, give yourself gifts. Because we always find a need to find it from the outside. And this started from when we were younger, right? There's always this need to do something so your parents will, because it was only when you did something good, you felt they loved you. So there was this need to put out. I always like using myself as an example. I was always an high achiever growing up. Top in class, so I never knew how to fail.
Was that based on like a personal thing, personal cultivation, or based on parenting and how they wanted to always be that?
I think I was like that. I was even told I taught myself to read. I don't know.
Okay.
So there was always this need to always top the class. So when I couldn't get into university for 7 years, I finished secondary school and I couldn't get into university. That killed. So there was nothing there. And then when I managed to get into university, I came out with 2-1. People were like, wow. 3.7. I was like, no, I was aiming for a first class. 100 level, I had 4.0. Wow. And I was like, I'm going to get, because there was just this need to perform so people could. It was later when I realized that I was actually just seeking the validation. I needed them to see that I was intelligent. If they didn't see it, I didn't feel intelligent. You understand? Okay. What I now do is I tell myself, you understand? I've gotten to an age where I can't blame what my parents did or whatever. So when you get to that age, what you do is do it for yourself. And then find an environment that is healthy. Like I said, seeking validation is not bad. So when you are in an environment that is toxic. So when we talk about peer pressure is not always negative, right? There are people that can actually give you positive. Everybody gets peer pressure, even adult peer pressure. If people influence you, if a group of people influence you or someone, that's peer pressure.
That's peer pressure.
You understand? So just find environment that is healthy. So there is this for ladies right now, there's this standard for beauty. And I tell myself, I fear the next 4 or 5 years because the trend will change.
It will
so
change.
when it changes, what would you do? So I love myself for who I am right now. I tell some all my flabs, all my whatever. I love me, and I'm happy with who I am. I will never be like this forever.
Yeah, true. Oh, I totally understand. I totally get it. I totally believe what you're saying, and thank you so much for being here. Sadly, we have to go because we're short on time, but thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
We're actually heading over to the kitchen right now.